Hello, welcome to Aging Well in America. I'm Anne Marie Gattari. Every day, 6,000 to 7,000 people in the United States turn 65 years old. There are 5.5 million people over the age of 85. By the year 2050, that number will become 20 million. 20 million people will be aged 85 or older. Are we ready? Is America ready? There's so much good work going on around the world, around the country, and right here in our own community. And with us today is one of the people doing some of that great work. Excuse me, her name is Wendy Sheffield. Wendy, welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about money matters, which is a very, very important topic and concern for many aging folks, seniors, as they continue to work on organizing their lives and keeping their finances in place. Tell us a little bit about your organization. What do you focus on?
My business is called Sheffield Daily Money Management, and what we do is go into a senior's home, a client, and we help with their household financials, their daily financial responsibilities. So what that means is I'll go and help make sure the bills are getting paid on time. I'll help reconcile bank accounts each month to make sure that there are enough funds in the accounts and that we keep up with that. I'll look at medical bills and insurance statements to make sure that they're appropriate. And I'll also help organize all of the financial documents for tax time so that when that comes around, it's a lot easier for the senior. They're not looking for papers that may have been lost over the past year, and they can give those directly to their CPA and make things a lot easier. I can also help them with a household budget to make sure that they're not spending too much money each month.
That's great. Let's talk about each of those kind of in chunks, because they're all good ones. Preparing your documents for tax time and keeping those organized, keeping your monthly checkbook up to date, and budgeting. I'm thinking that somebody calls you and maybe they're feeling financial crunch, and they may, I don't know, do they come to you hoping that you'll be able to help them find more money in their checking account and make the finances easier at the end of the month, or how do you manage their expectations? And
a lot of times people are looking for help with their finances in terms of saving money, and when I come in and help them organize their bills and make sure payments are made on time, certainly that's helping to avoid late fees. I also look at things like utilities to make sure that they're getting the senior discount that they deserve.
And at what age does that senior discount qualify?
62, I believe.
Okay.
And we just go through and make sure that they're not double paying bills, which is, it happens often when people are having issues keeping track of their finances.
Yeah, how big of a problem do you find that, paying
It depends on the client, of course, but if they're starting to have some loss of their mental ability, it can happen pretty often, particularly if they're not keeping a check register and really paying attention to that. Try to get a lot of my clients on automatic payments so that doesn't occur. That's an easy way to do that.
Automatic payment, you mean through an automatic withdrawal, an ACH withdrawal?
Correct, through their bank.
I would think that might be a little difficult to convince people to let a utility company go into their account and basically take the money every month. How do you, what are the pros? What's the advantage of doing that?
The advantage is you're not missing a payment, so you're making your payment on time. You're either saving a stamp each month or you're saving yourself from going into the bank to pay your utility like people used to do. And it's just making it a lot easier. Now, what happens then is we need to sit down and actually review the utility to make sure that everything looks appropriate for the month. Because once you're on automatic payment, sometimes people think, well, I don't need to worry about this anymore.
It's going to be taken
and you
care
still
of.
need to put, the withdrawal into your check register to make sure you're keeping track of the
Sure.
payment.
Sure, absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about budgeting. What are some of the things that folks can do to budget and stretch their dollar a little bit more throughout the month?
Probably the best thing they can do is set up a system to organize all of their bills and their payments. So what I like to do is go in and have the client get a box, and we set up a filing system so that we have, unpaid bills in the front, which is where every day when your mail comes in, you stick those bills in your unpaid folder. And then once a bill is paid, we have, a folder for utilities and for credit cards and for medical bills, insurance statements, and again, everything's together. So that's not only helping with budgeting because we're making sure that payments are getting made on time, but it's also helping at tax time to make sure that everything's together. But doing that also helps us, because everything's together, it's easier to put together a budget. So it's easier to track past expenses and get a feel for how the client's spending their money so that I can make suggestions on things they might do to lower their expenses.
Yeah. Give us a couple of examples of where you feel you've made a difference in someone's life, really, in their finances and their overall.
Yeah, a simple one. I had a client when I first started with her had not been keeping a check register, and she was afraid to. She was keeping a check register, but she wasn't keeping a running balance in her register.
She wasn't doing the math.
Right, she wasn't doing the math, and probably a couple of reasons. One, she wasn't real comfortable that she had good enough math skills, and also she was afraid to see the balance because she thought if she didn't put a balance in that she must have enough money in her account.
Oh boy.
So I
Kinda
worked
head
with
in the
her.
sand.
Yeah, right, what you don't know.
Right.
But I was able to help her find a calculator in her house and explained why she needed to keep the running balance, and whether or not she saw the balance, she still had that
there.
amount of money in her account.
Yeah.
And she has started now keeping track of the balance in her account, which I think has made her more confident in herself because she's doing this for herself. And, it's been really nice.
What's her age range? Just
70s.
Yeah. Good. So, what motivates somebody to call you when you receive that first call? What do you sense that has driven them to pick up that phone?
Typically, it's somebody who is just lost, doesn't know what to do anymore. Sometimes it can be a spouse whose other spouse has either had a health issue or has passed away, and the spouse who's able has never taken care of these issues before, and they just don't know where to start. Sometimes it can be the adult child of a client who's calling because they've noticed that their parent has been getting forgetful. They've noticed, lots of bills lying around the house that don't seem to be getting paid, and they just recognize that there's an issue.
I can imagine that when you walk in, there's this feeling of comfort. You're so nice, and you present a lot of confidence. Tell us a little bit about your background. You come to this with a lot of years of financial experience in your background.
Yeah, I have an undergraduate degree from Albion College in Economics and Management, and after Albion, I went to Indiana University and received my MBA in Finance.
Congratulations.
Thank you. From there, I went to work at Ford Motor Company, and between Ford and the Visteon.
What did you do?
In finance.
In
I
finance.
started in the audit department,
Okay.
and at a manufacturing and assembly plant, actually. Then did some. I had some time in the audit department. I worked in operations finance, mergers and acquisitions finance, and most recently was the IT controller. I worked for about 10 years.
Okay, that's some pretty hefty heavy lifting working in the finance department for one of the auto companies. I imagine you come with a really, really solid foundation.
And I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you do. You do. What makes you love it? How does one love numbers?
I've always loved numbers, been good at math. I've loved business. It's just the excitement of the job.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that there's also a certain gratification in helping someone get their affairs in order and seeing some balance and some, as I said, some order to it, especially when they come to you and they're a little anxious and worried about how things have been going and where they might be going.
Yeah, and that's why I like this job in particular, because I'm not only using my finance skills and my love of math and numbers, but I'm helping people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier, we were talking before the show, that you're really concerned about the younger generation, your own peers who do not, they pay bills online. Of course, my cohort does as well, and may not be keeping a check registry, and that can lead to some issues down the line. Give us a little lesson and a lecture as to why we should all keep a checkbook registry.
Yeah, oh, sure. I try to explain to my clients as well as my friends that without a check register, you never know exactly how much money is in your bank account. You can see online how much the bank thinks you have, but they don't know that you've just written a check for $500 for whatever, and if your balance is only $300 and that check gets cashed, there are many problems that go along with that.
Yeah.
People today, I think, are spending far too much money on fees with banks, not only transactional fees, but the insufficient funds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so it's very important, even though no one likes to do it, to keep that balance and to stay on top of that.
Sure. And to live within the budget
Correct.
as we were taught growing up. Yeah. So knowing that this really is an issue for everybody, but you did decide, you made a conscious decision to focus in on a particular population, which is our aging population. Why is that, and how did you come upon that?
Well, I came upon that through my own personal experience. My father passed away suddenly several years ago, and when he did, he left my mother with this sudden need to learn all about, the household financial responsibilities, and she hadn't done that before. Not only that, but my dad had also been helping my grandmother.
I see.
So I luckily was local with them, and had a strong background in finance, so I picked that up and started helping both of them, and I couldn't help but think, what do people do when they don't have children in the area to help, or a neighbor or somebody? And with the population aging as it is, there had to be a need. And one of the things that I do kind of as a aside to my business is I've given presentations on identity theft, and that's a real popular subject for people. And the reason that I wanted to focus on seniors is because I think it's such a vulnerable population in many cases. So rather than focusing on dual income families, who might just not have the time, I really wanted to help people who didn't know where else to turn.
Sure, sure. So how does your process work, Wendy? Someone calls you, and what's next?
Someone calls me and we spend some time on the phone so that I can make sure what they're looking for is really the service that I provide. I've had people call before who are actually looking for a financial advisor of sorts.
Where they can invest, for instance.
Right, and I should probably mention I don't do any advising on investments.
No.
I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney. So all of those different specialties I leave to those professionals.
Okay.
I'm truly, responsible for the day-to-day financial issues that a client has. So the first thing I do is really talk to them about their needs and what they're expecting from someone, you know, who's a daily money manager. If it sounds like they need my services, then I'll schedule a meeting at their home so that they can meet me personally, and we can talk about the specifics. You know, how many bills a month do they pay? How many checking accounts are they managing? You know, how many other bank accounts? And at this point, because we don't have a contract and we haven't agreed to go ahead with, you know, my services, I don't ask to see anything specific. So I'm not looking at bank account numbers. I'm not looking at credit card statements specifically, just to talk, to understand, you know, how many medical bills do you receive a month, so that I can then go back and put together a proposal for that client to talk, you know, next step about expectations that they should have of me, expectations I would have of the client, so that we really understand what we're getting into.
What are the expectations you have of them?
That, you know, if we agree that they're going to keep, you know, their mail organized so that when I come to their house to help them with their bills, that everything's together, so we're not, you know, spending a lot of time. Now, that doesn't always happen, obviously. People misplace things, and I'm happy to help, you know, try to find a missing bill. But really, expectations, being on time, having everything ready for the meeting, those are the two big ones.
Tell us about the daily money management as an industry. It's an organization that you actually belong to, a professional organization. What is, tell us about that, the background there.
Yeah, there's an association. It's called the American Association of Daily Money Managers.
Okay.
And it was started in 1998 as this group of people started working in the daily money management you know, field. It was determined there was a need to have an organization where people could share ideas and information on the field, because people, as you can imagine, are all across the country, and it's not like working for a bigger company where you have the resources available to you on a day-to-day basis. So the organization was set up to help promote the field, the industry, and at this point I believe there are about 700 members across the country and in Ontario.
All individual practicing daily money managers as yourself.
Yes.
What do you get from that organization?
They have an annual conference that we can attend. They send out newsletters with information on things that are changing and occurring in the industry. One of my favorite parts of the organization is they have a listserv. So I can post a question on the listserv, and any daily money manager who's on this distribution list can respond with
professional
suggestions.
Networking.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah, I've seen people, you know, send a note out saying, I have this client who's moving to Florida, and she, you know, she was my client, but now she needs somebody in, you know, the Tampa area. Can anyone recommend someone?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah,
so it's
so
been
you're
really
referring
helpful.
Business to each other, as well as helping keep your professional credentials up to date. And I'm assuming there's some perhaps continuing education that goes along with that.
Yeah, there is continuing education. They have webinars that we can sign up for, and you know, to continue learning. And they also have a certification program. I have not gotten certified myself yet. You need to have a certain number of paid hours in order to become certified.
And how many hours is that?
I believe it's 1,500.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm getting there, and I hope to sit for the test next year.
Oh, wonderful.
Let's see what else. They also, if you go out onto the website, which is aadmm.com, you can find a DMM in your area, a daily money manager in your area.
Okay.
So it provides, you know, everyone in the public information on what we do, who we are, how to find a daily money manager, and also the questions to ask.
Sure.
Because certainly people are a little bit hesitant to invite someone into their home and you know, give them all this confidential personal information.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Mention the website. Oh, there it is. There's your name and your contact information, and people can call you even if they're not in this immediate area, and you can refer them to, if they're in one of the outlying suburbs, or you certainly can refer them to somebody closer to their home. One of the things that I think seniors are cautioned about so often is, don't open your checkbook to anybody. Don't show your, certainly don't give the signing authority away. And I'm pretty sure that you don't do that, right?
No,
you
I
don't
do
have signing authority. So that's one of the ways to make sure that folks know who they're dealing with. But what are some of the tips that you might offer to somebody? What are questions they should ask to make sure they're getting the right person, somebody who is legitimate and honest, quite frankly, to help them?
Well, the number one is personal references. This isn't an industry where I think you would want to go to the yellow pages or online to just find somebody. You really need to be referred by somebody else. And if not, if you don't have the ability to do that because you're looking for someone for your mother or your father who lives in another state, then at least once you contact the person, ask them for references. Certainly the background can make a big difference because... do folks have an ability to do a background check on you, or does that come with part of your professional association? No, there is no way through the association to do a background check on someone. One of the things we do have through the association is specific liability coverage, and it's through Lloyd's of London, and it's specific to daily money managers. So you should definitely make sure that the money manager you're working with has insurance to cover, you know, for any errors, whether, you know, purposeful or not.
So perhaps one of the cautionary tales might be to encourage people to go through an organization as opposed to hiring somebody independently. So if they go through an organization like Association of Daily Money Managers, they know you have had to pass some scrutiny to join that organization.
And we sign a code of ethics when we join the organization. So certainly taking that extra step, I think, shows more, you know, more seriousness about what we do.
Sure. Where do you see this this industry going, Wendy, when you think about the need out there and how big it can get, and again, some of the pitfalls? Where do you see it going?
I think it's huge, and I think a lot of people aren't aware that this is a service that's offered today. So as more people learn about what, you know, what we offer, I think, you know, the industry will grow. I also know that some investment firms have been very interested. I get calls quite often from people just wanting to pick my brain to see what I do.
Really?
So I wouldn't be surprised if investment firms and some accounting firms maybe start adding daily money managers to their, you know, their roles.
Because this is a bit different from accounting, of course.
Yes.
Right. Explain the difference for our listeners.
Yeah.
Somebody who has a CPA, they might still need a daily money manager.
They might, and some, absolutely. But the way I usually explain it is most CPAs and financial advisors could do this, but there are two problems. One, normally they're much more expensive than a daily money manager. And secondly, that's not their primary focus. So are they really getting in and understanding all of the financials that the client has to make sure that they're getting all the cost savings opportunities and watching for fraudulent requests and, you know, making sure that they're not sending money to a nonprofit organization 4 times a year when they only mean to do it once. You know, they're just like the banks and the trust departments, you know, they're just making sure that the bills are getting paid. So I think we provide an extra level of, you know, security and just, you know, efficiency.
That's terrific. I'm thinking that you've, like I said earlier, have made a difference in some people's lives. Giving up doing the checkbook is often, you know, one of the last things people want to give up, because after all, independence is so crucial to somebody's well-being as they age. And helping, for instance, the woman you mentioned with the just find a calculator and show her how to use it. I'm sure you've helped people raise their own self-esteem and even improve maybe some of their own cognitive ability by seeing that, yeah, I can do this. That's happened a time or two, I'm thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's mainly the clients who have come to me because they've had a spouse who's no longer able to provide the service for them, to help them. You know, and they just really didn't know where to turn, and it's scary. And so it's definitely been helpful for them to learn a little bit of independence, to learn something new. I think everyone should be learning something new, no matter how young or old they are.
The time, that's right. That's what cognitive ability is certainly all about. So how can people reach you?
They can either call my business phone, or they can email me.
And your business phone is?
It's 313-506-3923.
And that's right here in Grosse Pointe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I also have an email address. It's Wendy@SheffieldDMM.com.
DMM for Daily
Money Management.
Manager.
Okay. And I also have a website where they can get much more information, and it has all of my contact information. And that's SheffieldDMM.com.
Okay, SheffieldDMM.com. And forms and so forth, initial assessment forms that they can fill out on from your website? Or you bring those when you go?
I bring those when we meet.
Okay. And the initial assessment, is there a fee for that?
No, there's no fee for that. That's just an opportunity for me to get to know the potential client and for them to meet me and see if they'd be comfortable working with me.
And when you do take on a new client, how many hours a week, a month is average, would you say?
Average is probably 4 hours a month.
Oh, that's
probably
not,
2 hours every other week, or it could be an hour and a half each week.
Nice. I bet they look forward to your visit, Wendy. Thank you so much for coming, and good luck to you. I hope your business blossoms.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Another episode of Aging Well in America here at the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. We're always looking for interesting topics and concerns, so please do send them to us here, and we will consider having you on our show. Thank you.